Which comedian that other people seem to love, do you find utterly unfunny? James Corden. Never found him funny, and he also seems incredibly false. Didn't even know he was a comedian. More of a comic actor before his hosting days. I honestly thought he was the transplanted host of some idiotic British reality show where people threw pies in other people's faces or shot each other with slime guns. I can't even imagine him actually being comedic. I miss Craig Ferguson in his time slot. Ferguson cannot be beat. Every show was outstanding. His behind-the-scenes reputation with cast and crew isn't terribly stellar either. His AMA on Reddit is absolutely legendary at this point. For the uninitiated, he posted an AMA and everyone responded asking for his opinions on times he acted like an entitled prick. And I mean everyone responded like that. If anyone hasn't seen it, it is worth a Google and much funnier than any joke he's ever written. Web link. He's the fatter female partier version of Ellen's real self. I remember there's a video on YouTube that compiles how much of an crafty human he is. Most people hate him, and I hope he gets the Ellen treatment very soon. I've heard it's awesome to work for Conan too. Big Conan fan here. I've only ever heard incredible things about him. He sounds like one of the most genuine and sincere people in Hollywood. Folks on his staff stick with him for a long time, even still has some who have been with him since 1993, and for good reason. He's also known to be very generous with any fans he encounters. He jokes, and his assistant Sona agrees, that he likely annoys his fans because he keeps doing bits to make them laugh and to please them. Conan even just started a spin-off of his regular podcast, Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, where he just talks to fans. The new podcast spin-off is called Conan O'Brien Needs a Fan. Anyways, Conan seems like an incredible dude. I hope he sticks around and is able to keep making funny stuff for a long time. Steve Harvey. I just don't find him funny. All he does is react and hope for laughs. That's the recipe for Family Feud. Contestant says funny answer and Steve reacts. And his reaction is always the same. Just jaw hanging open with a stupefied look on his face. Then he says something sexist. You see, I'm old school. Plus he's got a really crafty opinion on life and what roles people should take on and all. I don't get how anyone could consider him credible for life advice. The guy with the terrorist puppet. Jeff Dunham. I feel like everybody who praises Jeff Dunham saw his one old performance that was funny and instinctively knew that none of his more recent performances could ever be funny again. Once you've seen it, you've really seen it. Maybe Dunham has a really talented editor who can mix a new videotape with old footage of live crowds belly laughing. I think this is a good take. I thought he was funny the very first time I saw him and not a single time after that. He reuses the same jokes, same cadence, same setup over and over. Also, his actual stand-up he does now before he starts with the puppets is really bad. I've seen him live. I've met him, taken a picture with him, and gotten his autograph. He's a genuinely nice person. I've watched his specials on TV. And I think you've pretty much nailed his career dead on. Yes, came here to post this. My in-laws think he's effing George Carlin. You should tell them necrophilia isn't funny. Yeah, I remember a friend of ours trying to convince me and another friend how great Ahmed the Dead terrorist was several years back. But it's just, like, bad stereotypes, repeated loudly? No, it's like a satire on racism. It really doesn't seem like it. Grinning, oh man, if you don't like that one, you'll hate his other characters. Yeah, I never thought it was going to like them in the first place. Ellen DeGeneres. She was okay back in the day, but I watched the special she did a couple years ago, and she seems incredibly out of touch now. Plus all the rumors of nastiness to her staff. I've only seen a few clips of her stuff, and it's just being a jerk. Pranking her guests by busting into the locker room to scare them, for example. Or a segment that makes fun of young kids by laughing at them for not knowing how to use a rotary phone. Which they don't know how to use because no one has a effing rotary phone anymore. so no one's expected to know how to use them. Hey, Ellen, here's a game for you. Try switching video modes on your TV without asking a kid for help. I really liked her early in her career, pretty much up until she got her first sitcom show. Her early observational humor stand-up was hilarious. But I agree, ever since she her own show it was downhill from there. She is a horrible person. She brought Mariah Carey onto her show and hounded her to admit she was pregnant. At the time Mariah had multiple miscarriages and she did not want to open up about her pregnancy, and I don't blame her. Ellen, like a effing genius, gives her a glass of wine. In doing so means if she drinks it she isn't pregnant, and if she doesn't she is. Mariah didn't drink it and Ellen starts shouting, "You're pregnant." I think she lost the baby after that too, I'm not sure. Yep, she did. Terrible thing for Ellen to do. Same. I've never watched a comedian before where when she delivers the punchline I thought, oh, that was supposed to be the joke. George Lopez, his main joke is he's Mexican. We have a similar act in the UK, a woman called Shapi Khorsandi. Her entire act is about how she's Iranian. She's an Iranian from Iran. And her family are Iranian too. From Iran. When she was a kid, she lived in Iran with her Iranian family, who are Iranian. Jimmy Fallon. I don't think anyone finds Jimmy Fallon as funny as Jimmy Fallon does. Jimmy Fallon always looks like a sniper has him in their sights. His only funny moment was when RuPaul went off script when he said drag queen. And his face contained genuine, verifiable fear. Seeing terror in that crap's face made me almost cry with mirth. I think a lot of people appreciate his musical numbers. To clarify, I am not one of those people. I just don't understand how this guy still has a night show after all these years. Honestly, at this point it's pretty clear that The Tonight Show is a husk mostly kept alive by its own inertia. Fallon has been successful as the host because he basically gives into every network demand and seems to have nearly no creative vision or agency in his role. He'll just do whatever product integration is requested without blinking. By contrast, more engaged hosts like Conan O'Brien actively make fun of product placements, and even Jay Leno held enough confidence and integrity in his role as show host to deny ad creep, at least until he snaked Conan and basically killed The Tonight Show in the process. Just wanted to say that's a hell of a first sentence. The impression I get is that he's just milquetoast vanilla boring. He plays by the rules, has no controversy, is family friendly, and is likable enough without being too charming to take the attention away from the guests. I don't hate him the way everyone else does, but it did bother me how he just could not get through even a mediocre joke in an SNL skit without breaking. When Bill Hader did it, it was genuinely funny. You knew that man was trying desperately not to laugh, and it was always a great joke/bit. When Fallon did it, it seemed like the rest of the cast was just waiting for him to be done so they could move on. His thing was never to be funny, but to be fun. He was always having a good time, and in a way that you could be part of. That was his charm on SNL. I've never really liked his show, but that's his stick. Anyone who has nothing but sex jokes. Amy Schumer. Edit never knew I could get upvotes by talking about garbage. We'll keep that in mind later on. I somehow forget she has a vagina until she mentions it in every one of her jokes. So the show Two Broke Girls? My wife watches it and it drives me nuts how unfunny the lines are. It's just one innuendo joke after the next. Want to see something cringeworthy? Watch a clip on YouTube of Two Broke Girls with the laugh track removed. Shows paced around a laugh track are always going to look awkward with the laugh track removed though. Whether they're funny shows or not. Thank you. I hate this argument about a show being bad. Actors literally pause and stand still for the laugh track before moving on. Watch some of Last Week Tonight from right at the start of the pandemic and you can see it there before John Oliver adjusts. He delivers his jokes then stares awkwardly at the camera in silence because that's normally where he waits for the audience to laugh/calm down/ then he carries on. If you don't like a show that's fine, but good and bad ones all use laugh tracks and they all look awkward/cringy if you remove it. Nikki Glaser is a prime example of this. It's so boring. Larry the Cable Guy. He's not funny and he's fake. He's not relating with his target audience, he's making fun of them. You mean Dan Whitney? I lived in a town with a comedy radio station and they played a lot of Larry. I was surprised at how many rape jokes he had. I went through an embarrassing redneck girl phase in high school and I went with friends to see one of his shows. It was terrible, he was terrible, the jokes were terrible. Plus he's from Nebraska. Not that's a problem, but it just gets me how much he's making fun of his fans. Tyler Perry. I think he is brilliant as a businessman, turning out lots of small to medium-sized movies that make a profit. He's well on his way to being a billionaire, $800 mother-in-law according to Celebrity Net Worth. Doing something right. He directs, writes, produces, and acts. Not the best comedies in the world, but I have to admire that he can keep pulling it off. Overall agree on the funny man part. So is he basically like the Black Adam Sandler? Pumping out mediocre comedy movies they produce and star in for easy money. Dane Cook. Dane Cook 20 minutes pay-per-view, let's go. Edit. Reading these comments, I'll say this is a Gen X guy. You want a comedian that looks really dated now? Watch a Gallagher show from the 80s. An hour of made jokes. Hey, you know what the opposite of Congress is? PR ogress, a bunch of bizarre props hauled out on stage, and then he smashes food. And he had a new Showtime special like every 6 months. Dane Cook made me laugh my butt off as a teenager in the early 00s. I'd probably cringe hearing him now. He still makes me laugh in Waiting, an underrated movie. I feel like he was a product of his time, a comedian who blew up and reigned, but only for a specific period before fading away. Like, if you were in your teens or 20s in the 00s, especially the mid-00s, he was hilarious. But by the early 10s, amid joke-stealing allegations, an unfortunate Aurora Theater shooting joke, and his brand of comedy just simply running its course, he was done. Just throwing it out there that at least some of the comedians who accused him of joke-stealing went on to either forgive him, Joe Rogan, or say that they don't think he did it on purpose, Louis C.K., so make of that what you will. All that being said, I do kind of feel bad for him. His half-brother had been embezzling money from him for years during the height of his stardom. Dude lost millions of dollars cause of a greedy family member. He's one of those really effing weird comedians. He hit a height that not many ever had. He was selling out stadiums and everybody knew him in the mid-2000s. Then he just fell off the face of the earth. And now I watch his routines and I think, how did I ever find this crap entertaining? Jeff Dunham. Kevin Hart. He's not horrible, but the level of his success is baffling as hell. His act is nothing special. Rebel Wilson. Every role is the same, and she thinks, oh, I'll just pause and pretend to be awkward is funny. It's her only gimmick and it doesn't work. She was funny in Jojo Rabbit. Because she wasn't just Rebel Wilson but German. She was absolutely deranged and way more animated than anyone else ever makes her act. Yeah, I think this definitely more of a case of getting pigeonholed into a role, kind of like Jono Buttholes here Hill for a while. Kevin Hart. Yes, thank you. He plays the same character in every movie too. Act like a tiny loudmouth and everyone thinks he's funny. I really don't get it. Correction, tiny loudmouth, right next to big co-star. Will Ferrell, Dwayne Johnson, doesn't matter. Haha, look at tiny man next to big man. He's Scrappy-Doo. I thought so too until he played old man Danny Glover in Jumanji 2. I was really impressed and realized he was actually talented. I give him a pass in Jumanji, at least the first one, but that's a straight-up kids movie where his over-the-top antics seem appropriate. Other than that, only time I liked him was the small role in Party Down. Carrot Top. I don't think I've met a single person in my lifetime who says they're a huge Carrot Top fan. George Lopez. His whole shtick seems to be White people do this but not Latinos. I'm just glad no one has hated on Mike Birbiglia, love that guy. Joe Rogan. And I'm not sure if this guy is popular, but he seems relatively successful, Sebastian Maniscalco. I would rather eat broken glass than listen to him. I don't hate him, but Will Ferrell's brand of comedy is getting pretty repetitive. Same with Kevin Hart. Their movies all revolve around the same shtick. Did you just combine Chris Rock with Kevin Hart? I think he meant Hannibal Ansari. Will Ferrell is good if he plays a character, but 9 times out of 10 he is given a rough outline of a character and then just told to wing it, so most his scenes are just the best of 100 different improv moments. To make it worse, he doesn't know when to end a joke. I was watching Eastbound and Down lately, and his jokes are always like, okay, that was funny, oh wait, he expanding on it, oh it's still on over. Okay, we got the point. K, shut the F up. Amy Schumer. No one thinks she's funny. Netflix doesn't think she's funny, they think we think she's funny. Remember when Netflix did away with the star review system because they spun up a new Amy Schumer video and everybody gave it 1 star? Pepperidge Farms remembers. Jimmy Fallon. When Dane Cook was a thing, it was unbearable. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.